Cool. Just a quick note on Action Funder before we start. Action Funder is a funding platform that we launched in May this year, and it's designed to help community groups save time on funding applications by matching your project with all relevant funds on the platforms. So the funds are coming mostly from businesses and foundations, and it's already being used, and groups are being funded as we speak. It's free to use for community groups. All you have to do is sign up, post a project pitch by answering 3 questions or even creating a video pitch. And when a fund launches that matches your project, you're automatically matched with it. So all you have to do afterwards is just wait to receive a notification that a funder wants to fund you and accept it. And if you're not funded on the first time, it's fine. Your project will stay live on the platform and will be matched with any other fund that comes in. So it's very easy and straightforward to use, and then you can post updates on your project that you can share on social media, and you'll also do your impact report with us, and that will be automatically shared with the funder. If you're not an Action Funder yet and you have any questions about it, or if you are and you still need more details, we'll be more than happy to answer any questions at a little Q&A at the end. Just going to check who's in the room with us right now. We have Chloe from Children with Cancer Fund in Sussex, Kate from Food for the Brain Foundation, Helen from, and I picked the one name I won't be able to pronounce, Where? Sorry about that, the French in me just can't handle that. Rachel from Perth, and Lorna from Action Funder. So nice to see you all. In the room with us as well is Kat Ross, CEO of Baby Basics UK, who will be delivering today's workshop. And on that note, over to you, Kat.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining, and I really hope this is going to be a really interesting workshop for you. Just to start off, I'm going to introduce a little bit about myself and about Baby Basics UK and what we do. I'm the CEO of Baby Basics UK. We are the largest network of baby banks in the UK. We started in Sheffield back in 2009 and now have developed to have 53 centres across the country and growing. We're expected to be 60 plus centres by Christmas. We support vulnerable families, whether that be single parents, teenage mums, people who are fleeing domestic violence, families who are seeking asylum, women who've been sexually trafficked, any type of vulnerable family. We support them with the practical essentials for life with children from pre-birth to 5 years old. Last year, we were very lucky to be part of an initiative with the Duchess of Cambridge, where she brought corporate brands to us. And since then, we have developed our corporate brand partnerships, and we now work with over 27 corporate brands across the UK and coordinate distribution of those donated items across all our centres from our national warehouse, which is where I am sat now. Apologies if you see some people moving around in the background. We are presently doing emergency crisis support for the Afghan refugees who have come into the UK. So we've got a very busy warehouse at the moment. So that's a little bit about us and about our history. And if anybody wants to ask any more questions at the end, please do so. So I'll kick off with the presentation, if that's all right, Perrine, and you can put the slides up. Brilliant. So in this presentation, we're going to in this workshop, talk about how to create corporate partnerships. It can feel a really scary thing to do. And you can feel as a small community organisation, actually, am I too small for somebody to support me? Or am I going to be able to secure the kind of corporate partnerships that I want? What I would say first off and foremost is if you don't ask, you don't get. And that's something that I've very much learned over the last 12 months. And also, every community project, as we know, community projects are so valuable and they have such big impact from often quite small base. And that really speaks to corporate partners. That really speaks to them about the influence and the impact that their donations can have at a really local level. Next slide, please, Perrine. So first of all, just going to kind of talk about where to start. And if you're thinking about wanting to get corporates involved and partner with corporates, it's really important to know what you want. So the key questions to ask yourselves are, why would your organization speak to them? Which corporate brands are you thinking of approaching, and why would the project you're doing be important to them? So for us at Baby Basics, it was about thinking about, okay, so we support children from 0 to 5 years old. So we want to bring in corporates that provide products or have a link to children in their early years. Also, we're thinking about, what do you want from them? Do you want products? Do you want their time and expertise? Do you want media and publicity? Or do you just want the connections that they can bring you to link into other places? Also, a really critical thing is, how much do you want, especially when it comes to getting product. If you secure a corporate partner who's able to give you product, sometimes they're only able to give you a small bit, but sometimes they want to give you huge amounts. So for instance, I've got a delivery of 1,000 packs of jumbo nappies from Pampers at the end of September. I've got to know that I have the space to take that in. So ensure that you don't over ask, that you're being realistic about what you're asked, and that you've got the space to put those items that you're going to get donated. Also, if it's about time and you're wanting the expertise of somebody within their organisation, so it may be that you actually want to be able to speak to the brand manager of an organisation to get that expertise on social media, then it's really important, again, that you've got the space in your day, or whoever's day it is, to work with that partner and sit down, and that your organisation has got the capacity to really give them the time that they need to give the information over to you. And the final thing is, for any corporate that donates, it's part of their corporate social responsibility. So they need to be able to get something back. So what can you offer to them in return? Can you offer them publicity? Can you offer them shout outs on your socials on a regular basis? Can you sign up to share some of their product stuff? Now, that might be a discussion that you need to have with your trustees about how you align that kind of work. But is that something that you can offer them? Can you offer them volunteering opportunities for the teams within their organisations to come and volunteer in your community project? So think about what that offer is that you can give them in return, because that's often a real selling point for corporates to be involved. Then the next kind of step to do is to research their CSR lead. That is the key person that you need to speak to. And research either through their website, find on LinkedIn, search all the employees that work for a company from LinkedIn and see if anyone has corporate social responsibility in their job title. And see if you can connect with them and get contact information. Then you need to write your pitch. So write your pitch about exactly what you want. What time frame you're looking at it. Is it an emergency thing that you need right now, or is it a long-term partnership that you're looking at? And then you send that pitch to them and wait for the response. And don't worry, and don't be discouraged if that wait time is really long. Especially in the last 12 months with COVID, corporates have had so much to do that it's often really a passionate thing that they want to be involved in, but they don't always manage to get back to you quickly. So wait it out, and hopefully that partnership will come through. Next slide, please, Perrine. So once you've secured that one partnership or more than one partnership, these are kind of the key things that I've learned over the last 12 months on developing that relationship with corporate partnerships. So one is communicate, communicate, communicate. They really want to hear from you often. So we've done a number of things at Baby Basics. We regularly send out a quarterly kind of email update to all our corporates going, this is the number of families we've served. This is what we've been involved in. This is what we're planning for the future. If you want to get involved with it, kind of get in touch. Investing in that relationship and building the relationship with your CSR lead, or if it gets to a point where you're kind of receiving deliveries of product, it could be that you're liaising with a warehouse manager, for example. It takes time, it takes commitment, and it takes capacity, but it is so worth it when you get that. So for instance, having developed these relationships over the last 12 months, when the Afghan crisis happened and I needed product really, really quickly, I did a shout out to all of my corporate partners and had loads and loads of stuff donated from them on top of what they normally give me. And that's because I've invested in that relationship. They know me, they trust my organization, and they're happy to help where they can. Always ensure that you follow through on those promises of what you are going to give back to them. So if you've said you're going to give them social media shout outs, make sure that you do. Don't just do it once, do it more than once. If you said you're going to try and secure media, whether that be local press or national press, then make sure you do that. Make sure you give them the opportunity to sign off any press releases if they need to do that, that you put their logos onto your website if you can. If you do an impact report at the end of the year, which is something that we do at Baby Basics, we list all of our corporate donors within that with their logos, and that goes to everybody involved in Baby Basics. So just make sure that you follow through on those promises, because that builds up your trust account with them, and that keeps your reputation and your respect with them. Say thank you often. You cannot say thank you enough to these people. They really do. When you get a corporate partner, they will often go out of their way to support you. And it's actually been really interesting developing the relationships over the last 12 months. Some quite high profile corporates who've worked with large charities, some of the feedback they've given me is that actually the large charities are often really bad at saying thank you, and that often they'll send a donation and then they'll never hear anything more. And what they love about working with us at Baby Basics and about small charities is that we thank them, that we stay in touch with them, and that we really show both on our socials and personally what their donations mean to us and what difference it's going to make to the people that we're serving in our communities. The other thing that's really important when you have a partner is it's okay to say no, or it's okay to say not right now, or it's okay to say this isn't for us. So sometimes I'll have a corporate contact me saying we really want to partner with you, but it's just not a product that we give out, or it's not something that we're going to be able to use regularly, and therefore it's a thank you so much for thinking of us, but you're not the corporate for us. Also, corporates often, when you're in a relationship and they're sending you product, will get to the end of a season and go, okay, we're going into winter, can I send you all of my summer clothing? And I'll go, well, actually, right now, no. If you can hold that until the spring, I'll absolutely take it in the spring from you, but I don't have the storage to hold summer clothing during the winter. So I can't take it right now, and that's okay. And sometimes that means that that donation will go somewhere else and you won't get it. But sometimes they'll go, oh yeah, of course, I didn't even think about that. I'll hold that for you and send it later. So absolutely make sure that the corporate partnership is not all on their terms. It also, you need to take into consideration what you can do and how you can do it. Keep them engaged in what you're doing. As I said earlier, kind of sending regular information, even if they haven't donated for 6 months, sending them a monthly or a quarterly email or just a quick check-in, excuse me, really helps them to keep engaged, and sometimes will spark another donation. Use their social media reach. So if you can get them to share what they've done for you on their social medias, you're going to hit far more people. You'll increase your social media reach, you'll increase your followers. Tagging them in Instagram stories is always a really good one because it's a really quick share for them, but it has a plus for both sides. And my other really key point that I think I found really helpful and has been fed back to me from the corporates is kind of staying humble, and just, it's part of that thanking often, and just always being, what you're doing for us is amazing and we don't underestimate what you're doing, and we're so thankful for it all of the time, because the impact that you help with is huge. So really encourage people to kind of stay humble, and just be always really grateful. Next slide, please. Also, don't be scared to ask for more. If you don't ask, you don't get. So if you know that you're short of a certain product. Say for us, we're often really short of toiletries for babies. If I'm really short at any point, I will go to my toiletry corporates and go, any chance of an extra donation, because we can't get enough stock in of this. Or like I say, when the Afghan crisis happened, we put a shout out to everybody, and we got lots of things in. So if you don't ask, you don't get, and they won't mind an ask. They can always say no, but is there no harm in asking? Also think about changing the type of ask, so that you're not necessarily always asking for product, or you're not necessarily always asking for time or volunteers, that there's loads of different opportunities that they can feed into, and it might help you to kind of develop your reach, and the different things that people can get involved with by trying to accommodate corporate partners into that too. If you happen to run campaigns, we sometimes do in Baby Basics UK, involving them in those campaigns. So being able to either have them as a sponsor of a campaign, or asking them to share your campaign on their socials as a corporate partner, is really useful. So we ran a campaign called our 50 for 50 campaign a few months ago, which was to raise £50,000 for our national warehouse, and to celebrate the fact that we'd opened 50 centres at that point. And we had corporates come on board, share it on their socials, donate money to the campaign, and just got the word out really far about what we were doing. So that's a really good thing to do. Also engage them in that dialogue about what ideas do they have about how they can support you. It doesn't all have to come from you. Often they will come to you and go, we've been thinking about this, would it work for you? Could we develop what we're doing with you in a different way? So be open to their ideas, or ask them for ideas of how they would like to support you. And once you've built those relationships, you've got a real presence to be able to advocate and influence their product development. So for example, in Silver Cross, we've worked really hard with them to develop the fact that we don't want cot bumpers in any of their bedding sets, because you shouldn't put a cot bumper in a cot for safety regulations, but many people make their bedding set with cot bumpers. Silver Cross from now on are not going to produce cot bumpers, and that's partly because of our influence on what they're doing. So for the greater good, we can influence our corporate partners as well. Next slide, please. And remember, only ask for stuff, or for time, or for a corporate partner to become involved if you have the time and capacity to commit to that relationship. It's so important. Don't forget about them. Don't take a donation from them and then never contact them again. Always try and keep them engaged. Always say thank you. And always remember, a small ask in the first instance can lead to a massively long investment. So we had a small ask to Silver Cross earlier in the year. They now run a pram valet scheme where we get prams almost as new donated to us on a regular basis. We had a small ask to mamas and papas for some bedding earlier, end of last year. They've now developed a 5-year plan on how they're going to invest and support us. So a small ask can lead to a massive investment in you and your community and your project in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Kat. That was brilliant. That was brilliant. Does anyone have any question for Kat? You can either use the raised hands or use the chat. Can you see the hand being raised, Kat, or would you like me to?
Can you direct it, please, Corinne?
Okay, so I think that's Rachel. Rachel?
Yeah, hi, Kat. Thank you so much for the wonderful presentation. I work for a small local environmental charity, and I'm looking to incorporate some corporate funding in our fundraising strategy. So asking for money, basically, to fund projects and core costs. And I'm just wondering if you have any resources we could go to, or suggestions for developing that pitch. Like, should it be a letter accompanied with a video or a slideshow, or how do we kind of get creative with that to show what we do?
Yeah, I think all of those are great ideas. I think the more creative you can be, the better. And I think the kind of simplest way you can get your pitch across that's not going to take them a huge amount of time. So I would kind of move away from the slide thing, because that can often feel a bit, even if it's short slides, it can feel a bit overwhelming for somebody whose time is really short to have to go through a load of slides. But sending a video or sending a letter, or even just picking up the phone or dropping them an email in the first instance. What we found from Baby Basics, and this may not be the same for everybody, but we found kind of doing that small ask of a bit of product first. So in terms of environmental, I mean, I don't know what you do as your charity, but if you did something environmental, for instance, I don't know, if you were planting up allotments or something, and you went to a seed company and asked for seeds in the first instance, develop that relationship, and then go, actually, could we be your charity partner for the year, and you invest finances into us, and develop that relationship first. I think often lots of companies get asked for money all the time, and that's a really difficult thing for them to just give out. Product is slightly easier. So if you can, I would say start with product and then see if you can develop it into money. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. That's really helpful.
Thanks, Kat. We also had a question on the chat that is not quite the same, but Tanya was asking, should the initial pitch be a one-pager or more detailed?
I would say do your initial pitch as a one-pager with clear kind of messaging on there. If you want more information, you can check our website or come back to me personally and I can give you more information. So I would do a one-pager, but also maybe if you do produce something like an impact report, if you've got your impact report from the previous year, include that in as well, because that's obviously a really easy read for them to be able to see kind of the impact that you have. But I would say, yeah, that first pitch letter needs to be kind of concise and short because they don't have a lot of time, but it needs to grab their attention, and that's where videos can be brilliant.
Thank you. Another question on how did you get the royal connection?
Okay, so how we got our royal connection was a little bit out of the blue. We are very, very lucky in the fact that one of our Baby Basics centres is based near Sandringham. So the Duchess of Cambridge has heard about it just from being in the local area in Sandringham. And she got involved with our West Norfolk branch, and then came in for the UK. So it was a really kind of one-off. We didn't approach them, they approached us. So we're incredibly lucky. I have to say, I almost fell off my chair when I got the first email from Kensington Palace. But it's been so fruitful for us now, and we're now part of the Centre for Early Childhood that she's just launched as well. But on the other side, I've worked with other charities in the past where you can approach Royal Connections. A lot of the royal family get lots of letters regularly about being patrons or advocates for charities. What I would say is really do your research. If you're wanting to go for a celebrity or a royal family, make sure that they have interest in the way you work and what you do. So for us, the Duchess of Cambridge, interested in the early years, was an absolute fit. Our patron at Baby Basics is the Reverend Kate Botley. She's from Sheffield, which is where we started. We're a Christian-based charity, so she obviously has that Christian base as well, and she was just a perfect fit for us. So do your research and don't approach somebody who's not really going to have interest in it. But again, those kind of connections, whether it be royal, whether it be a celebrity, either big or small, really can improve your influence and your impact, and get your message out there further.
Brilliant, thank you. I think we have time for maybe a couple more questions. Richard, if you'd like to unmute.
Hi there, I'm not actually Richard. For some reason it comes up as my husband. So it's actually TJ, it's not Richard. Hi there, that was great, thank you. I work for a volunteer centre in Surrey on the corporate side. So I am involved with a lot of huge corporates in and around North Surrey. I currently deal with, I've just looked at your locations with Ali at the Village Centre. I know you've got a Baby Basics there.
Yes, we do.
But as well as that, I cover Surrey Heath. So I cover all of Camberley and all that area. And I just had a look and I couldn't see a location within that sort of area, and I just wondered if there is, because going forward from now forward, I do something called the angel trees, and that means that lots of my massive corporates do huge donations between now and Christmas. So I do lots with Ali, and I just wondered, for example, I'm seeing a corporate this afternoon who are based in Aldershot, and they're the sort of things that they love, and I wondered where your nearest location would be to them. So I'm talking about Aldershot at the moment, so that I can perhaps say might be something they might be interested in.
Yeah, quite possibly. The easiest thing to do is to check on our website and see if you go to other locations on babybasics.org.uk. Right. It's got a map of the UK and it shows where all our Baby Basics centres are. Okay. If there isn't one close to it, please do use our contact on there and drop me an email, because I may well have a centre coming on board in the near future that's close by, and that would be a great kind of setup link, as it were. But all our present centres are on that map. Okay, fabulous. Brilliant. Will do.
Thank you. Okay, last question, I think, for now, from Graham on the chat. Completely support the principle of asking for what costs less for the funder and means more to the charity. How available is employee time, like specialists such as surveyor or legal these days?
So I think we haven't used a lot of that, but we're starting to now. So for Silver Cross, their brand manager is coming on to help me work out a marketing strategy for Baby Basics, because surprisingly, we've never done any marketing, and they've offered their time. Again, I've always approached it as wait for them to offer rather than to come, rather than to ask for those specific things. But if you do want to ask for those specific things, again, kind of do your research on what's available in your local area. For things like surveyors and legal, there's often great law firms in your local area who will regularly do things for charities, and if it's something one-off that you need doing, they're often open to that, either doing it free of charge or at a discount. We in Sheffield as a city, we have lots and lots of law firms, and in a previous charity we needed some legal advice, and I literally just emailed every single one. Didn't email one and wait for one to come back. I emailed them all at once, and the first one to come back, that offered me time, I went with. So just push the message out. Also on that, socials are really, really useful. So if you're on Twitter, tagging anybody in a social that you think might be able to help you with an ask, always worth doing. It might not get to the right person straight away, but it can get the message out. That's how we managed to secure our national warehouse. I put a tweet out saying I'm looking for warehouse space, and a wonderful company said, I've got space going, do you want it? So using those socials for those asks are also a really good way of kind of bringing people in.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Kat. That was a great workshop. I think we're going to leave it as it is on corporate partnerships and send everyone on to their lunch. If you have any questions on Action Funder, you're more than welcome to stay for a few minutes. If you want to talk about how to create project pitch or impact reporting or any questions you might have. Otherwise, it was very nice to see you all. We'll be sending a follow-up email very soon with Kat's social media and contact details, the slides, info on the next workshops coming up, a short survey that will only take a couple minutes of your time if you could fit it up. And yeah, it was nice to see you all, and I hope you have a lovely day. And if you have any questions on Action Funder, now's the time. You can either unmute or raise your hand or ask a question in the chat.